Yeah.
Hello friends, welcome back to The Legend. And here I am with you, Agastya. In our today's video, I am going to narrate a story to all you guys. It is bedtime stories for children. Before we get into the story, I would like to tell you something about the story. The Panchatantra, Hitopdesha, and Aesop's fables are all stories that remind us that animals are capable of displaying great wisdom and often teach human beings some valuable lessons for life. Let's read the following excerpt from a story in which a doctor named Doolittle is entertained and enlightened by a wasp. The name of the story is Tangerine the Wasp. One of the most interesting insects in our group was a wasp. The tiny creature seemed highly intelligent and was much given to talking. After he had got used to Dr. Doolittle, he would follow him around the house like a pet cat wherever he went. He was given the name Tangerine because marmalade made from tangerine oranges was his favorite food. Tangerine narrated many other anecdotes and stories of the insect world to us. One of the favorites was how I won the Battle of Bunkerloo. This is how he told it. The battlefield of Bunkerloo was situated in a pleasant valley between the rolling hills covered with vineyards and olive groves. Many battles have been fought in this historic spot. In the fields and boles of the olive trees round about there were several wasps' nests. They had always been there, though, of course, not the same wasps. Yet the traditions and the folklore had been handed down from one generation to another. And the thing that we feared and hated the most was battles. Dear me, how sick we were of wars. Yes, indeed, all those wars seemed such a stupid waste. From either end of a beautiful valley, armies would come with cannons and horses and everything. For hours, they would shoot off evil-smelling gunpowder, blowing some of the trees right out of the ground by the roots and destroying simply no end of wasps' nests. Then, after that, they had fought for hours. They would go away again, leaving hundreds of dead men and horses on the ground. And it never seemed to settle anything, because in a year or two they would be back again for another battle and ruin the landscape some more. Well, I had never seen any of the battles myself, being a young wasp, but I had heard a lot of them from the older relatives. One evening, one of my uncles came in and said, "Listen, there is going to be another battle." Well, when I heard this, I was fired with great ardor to do something. I felt our nest should be defended. The next day, I went to look over the situation. I flew down to the south end of the valley, and there, sure enough, two armies were digging in their cannon and preparing for the battle. On the following day, early in the morning, we were awakened by a great blowing of bugles and beating of drums. I was hopeful that I might not do something on behalf of my fellow wasp, but I had no idea what I should do. About the center of the valley, upon one of the hills, was a man on horseback who seemed to a highly important individual. Messengers were arriving and departing all the time, bringing him news from every quarter. I decided that this must be the famous General Blohardy himself. Now, Blohardy, now About these names, I am not very certain. They were names from which wasps gave. We called him Blowhardy because he was blowing so hard through his long red moustache which puffed out before him when he spoke. General Blowhardy was the field marshal of the Bombasterian army. Their enemies were the Smithsonians. But again, these also may not be the regular names. It was clear that the general had come up to this high point so he could get a good view of the fight. Also, no doubt, because he wanted to stay in a safe place himself. Evidently, from the way he kept blowing out his moustaches, he expected a very fine battle, one of the messiest. I felt so furious as I watched him there, snapping out his pompous orders, that I was ready to do anything. Yet, what could I do? I was such a tiny creature, a mere wasp. Presently, there was a blow of a bugle, followed by the roar of cannon. The battle had begun. Now, the whole object of the Battle of Bunkerloo was to gain possession on this valley. What either army would do with the valley after they got it, I don't imagine either of them would know. To us, it did not matter at, at all which side won it, because they would both make a nasty mess in getting it. What we wanted was to stop the battle. As I noticed the horses move restlessly at the first roar of the cannon, an idea came to me. It would be no use of going and stinging General Blowhardy on the nose, though I would dearly have loved to do so. But if I sting his horse, I might possibly accomplish something. Well, no sooner thought than done. I hopped onto the horse behind the general and stung the poor fellow on the flank. It was a dirty trick to play on the horse, and I wanted to apologize to him afterwards. But he was much too far away. The results were instantaneous and astounding. The horse gave one bound and shot off down the hill with me and the general, as fast as he could go. By that time, the armies were on their way towards the center of the valley. I crawled along the horse's flank and stung him in another place. Then he went further still. When we reached the level in the bottom of the valley where the cavalry were already charging, I stung him a third time. On and he went on and on he went, straight across the flat and up the other slope. Seeing their famous general in full flight, leaving the battlefield at goodness knows how many miles an hour, the Bombasterians were completely disheartened and demoralized, and they took to their heels. And that was the end of the battle. The general of the Smithsonians got no end of decorations and honors for the victory of Bunkerloo. But Tangerine ended modestly. It was, as you see, really I who had won the battle. Now I'd like a little more marmalade, please. Written by Hugh Lofting. Friends, now let me tell you something about the author. Hugh Lofting, 1886 to 1947, was a popular British writer of children's stories. He used to write illustrated letters to his children during World War I that included the character of a country doctor called Dr. Dolittle, who loved animals. That was the origin of the Dolittle stories, one of the classics of children's literature. Lofting also illustrated all books himself. Friends, Hope you liked it. Thanks for listening. And please like, share and subscribe my video. Thanks a lot.